What's up guys, Headphones Neil here, back with my next tutorial in the Custom Live Wallpaper Maker series for beginners. So for today's episode, we're going to create a weather widget to combine all the various elements that we've learned in the previous tutorials. So if you have a question about some of the stuff that I'm going to show you, definitely take a look at some of the other videos in the playlist, which will be linked in the show notes. And if it still doesn't make sense after this video, definitely leave a comment for me to help out. So with that being said, let's jump right into it. So we're going to open up Custom Live Wallpaper Maker. We're going to go into editing mode. I already have some globals set up, so we don't have to worry about the wallpaper for some colors, and I have my accent colors already set up for some of the background elements. So from here, what we're going to do is we're going to click on the plus sign to create an overlap group, and I'm moving it up to the top so it's easy to get to. I'm going to rename it something simple. So this is a weather widget, so I'm just going to call it weather. And from here, so we're going to get right into adding the elements. So first thing we're going to do is move the position down to 80 because I know that'll place it right underneath my status bar. First thing we're going to do is create a background element so it overlays on top of the wallpaper. So we're going to create a shape, and I'm going to change it from square to rectangle because it's not going to quite be a square, or it's not going to be a square. For the width, I know the width of my screen is 720, but I do not want my widget to go from edge to edge, so I'm going to offset it to 680 wide. We could technically even go up to 700. For the height, for now, I'm going to increase it to 400 just to make it a little bit, to give myself enough space, and then I'll reduce it once we finish the elements. And I'm going to set my rounded corners to 20 for now, but we'll adjust that when we make it smaller in case if it looks too overly rounded. For the color, I'm going to go over to paint, and I'm going to change the color into formula mode, and I'm going to create a formula that says if music is playing, I want to extract the colors from the currently playing media's image. And so I'm going to say if mi state equals playing, then I want to pull the muted color from the cover art of the music. So that's what that global variable is. And I'll go into those global variables again in case you missed it when I first went into it. But for the else part of the if else, I'm going to say I want it to pull from the muted color of the image. So that way, right now, no music is playing. So it's going to darken it with the muted color of the image, offset with black at 50-50. So that's the background in color. Now I also want to have a border color just because I like that, having that accent border like you see in my media player right below. So to save some time, what I do is I'm going to rename the shape that I have to background. So I'll just call it BG, background. And what you can do in this case, if you want to save some time, because we know our border is going to be the same shape, and we just need to change the accent color and how to make it a border. So we'll select the element, and you can do copy and then paste, and we'll rename this so we know which element we're in. So border, or border. And then from here, we'll go into the border element. We're going to go into paint again, but so here, actually, this is where we're going to change both of the elements. So we'll change it from fill to stroke. So what this does is it actually creates an outline. So we don't see the outline as of yet, but you'll see the stroke number come up. So you can either use the drag bar if you know how much stroke you want, or if you know that it's going to be a certain width, then you can just increase the number. In my case, I know it's going to go to 5, but we can adjust accordingly. Now we also do need to change the color so we can actually see the border. So we're going to go into the formula, delete the previous color options we picked, and then we're going to change the global variables to vibrant music, which I just call global variable V music, And for the image, it's going to be the same thing, but V image. So now it's going to pull the vibrant colors of the image if music is not playing, and if music is playing, pull the vibrant colors from the cover art. And I did put the closed $sign. So now we have our element, and if you increase the stroke, you'll see that increases that border accordingly, so you have some room to play. So now that we have this set up, and now we need to set up our actual weather elements. So I'm going to create a stack group that's going to have stack groups embedded inside of it. So we're going to do stack group. So this will use the default settings, but so for me, I like to have it all vertically centered. So I'm going to change it from vertical left to vertical center. And we do want a margin between what I'm going to have set up as a current weather information and the forecast. So I'll make it the default 20, which we can adjust later as well. So now in the items, we actually have to put in the elements. So we actually need to add some more elements. So first I'm going to do another stack group, which we're going to rename to current, which is just the current weather information. And in here, the layer is actually, I'm going to make it a horizontal center because we want the next elements to be next to each other. So now for the actual weather elements, we're going to click on the plus sign, and I want to have the current weather icon to show up whatever the current conditions are. So I clicked on component, and there's a few different options. So you can have, a outline weather icon, this weather icon image solid, a flat version, and there's a solid white in here somewhere as well. So you have a few different options, and I actually have the Reeve icon pack installed as well, so you can use theirs. If the icon pack you have installed has custom live wallpaper elements, you can use theirs as well. So I'm just going to use this flat SVG one, and it'll say congratulations, you loaded your component. If you go into it, it defaults to current, but you can change it to various other options as well, which we'll get to in our forecast portion. Now, as far as the size, I'm going to reduce it down to 70 for now, but we may need to increase the size depending on our next element. So now I want to have the current day's current weather and the high and low forecast for the current day. So I'm going to do another stack group, which I'm going to leave as vertical vertical left and no margin, but we're going to introduce some text elements. So the first text element is going to be the current weather. So current weather and the temperature, and I'm going to do comma and the current weather condition. So that will tell me that, as you can see, the temperature and the condition. And I want the size to be something legible, so I'm going to increase it to 30. 30 to 40 for my phone is about right, but depending on your phone, you can adjust accordingly. And then I'm going to copy and paste this the text box because I know I want to keep certain elements the same. And it looks like, based on that size, my weather icon is a little bit small, so I'm going to... actually, it fits perfectly. Just the icon's a little bit small. And the one thing I did forget in the text box is to set the width. So I do want to change the type from fixed height to fixed width, so it fits it to the box of my boundary. So I'll change the line size to 1. So if you have multiple lines, you can adjust it. But for me, 1 line is enough, and I want the width to fit the my box. So I'm gonna make it 540 because we do need to increase the width between the icon and the text. So now we can actually copy this and paste it. So in the bottom section, we can actually set the high and low conditions. So we're going to do H, and there's another section for weather forecast. So we'll do today's max temperature, and I'll do a separator and the low temperature and bring in the low temperature. So now that we have that set, we can back out. In the layer for this particular element, I'll set the margin to make it a little bit wider. So now we have our current weather information all set. So now we want to set our forecast. So this is going to be a lot of copying and pasting, but once you have the initial template set up, then you're all good. So we're going to have two more embedded stack groups. So the first one is going to be a horizontal stack group, horizontal center, and I'll do a margin of 40 for now, and I'll adjust it accordingly because I know the width of some of the elements can be a little bit wider. And then we're going to set another stack group, which I'm going to call D1, which will make sense in a second. And in this stack group, we're going to make it a vertical center group. No margin just because of the way the spacing is going to work out. And so we're going to start with a text group, which we're going to delete this, and I wanted to show tomorrow's short day, so we'll go into date format, and there's a formula there that's automatically going to show tomorrow's short day name. So tomorrow's Thursday, and I'm going to adjust the size again to 30 to match the other box, and we're going to set the alignment to center. And then we're going to copy and paste this, take care of the weather for now. So we'll delete that. And in the weather forecast, we're going to pull in what it says is today's high and low like we did earlier. But we need to change the day to tomorrow because obviously this is for tomorrow. So you'll see where it says max, 0. That means that's today is the 0 day. So we want it to change to 1. So it automatically pulls tomorrow's high temperature. Same thing for the low, change it from 0 to 1. So it pulls tomorrow's low temperature. So once you do that, it'll automatically update. I want to save a little space, so I don't need the Fahrenheit letter there, so I'll delete that text. And same thing for the high temperature. I don't need the F there, so that's done. Now we also need our weather icon. So we're going to go back to the plus component, and we pick the weather flat SVG, which I want between the day and the temperature. So I'll adjust, holding down these bars on the left, you can rearrange elements. I forgot what size I had in the current weather, which was 70. So I'm going to set that same size. Oh, stack group, and we didn't rename this, which that's why renaming your elements is very useful, so you know exactly where you're at. So I'll rename or resize this to 70, and we're going to change it from current to tomorrow. So that way it's going to pull tomorrow's weather information, so you see it updated to rain. So now that we have our first element for tomorrow, what we can do is we're going to copy and paste this enough times to fit in my box. So paste, 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 and it looks like I can only fit to 4 of them. So I'll delete the last one, and I'll increase the width to, looks like I can fit it as 60 width. A little bit extra space than I want, but at least it's easily visible. So now we can go back. I'm going to rename these elements so I know which one I'm working on. And when you select the element, you see that it puts the box around the element that you've picked, so you know exactly which one you're working on. So now it's the tedious part of adjusting the day. So when you go into the formula, we want the second day forecast and name. So we'll change this to 2. So it changed it to Friday. In the icon, we want to change it from tomorrow to the second day. And then same thing for the temperature. And we'll do the same thing 2 more times for the third day and the fourth day. So 3 for the oh, and doesn't look like we changed this to, oh, we did, oh sorry, because I copied and pasted the first one. So if you copy and paste after you update each one, it's a little bit easier to keep track of what you're doing. But if you also remember the number that you're working on, then you can also just as easily keep track of it that way. And so now we'll change the last one to the 4. So not M, we want 4. For the icon, we want 4 here. And then for the actual temperature, we want to change it to 4. So once you've done that, now that we have our weather set up for the 4 days, we need to adjust our boundaries a little bit so that it fits better to the outline. So we'll go into background, and we're going to adjust the height down to Looks like 300 should be enough. So we'll change both of these to 300, and it still adjusts based on the top height, so we're all good. So now we're gonna exit out of Custom Live Wallpaper Maker, save all these changes, and boom, we have our own weather widget. So the last thing you want to do from here is, if you're not sure if your weather widget's been refreshing, or if you want to launch your weather app based on what app that you have a couple of options. So for me, I don't have a separate weather widget installed, so I'm actually just going to go to the touch action, click plus, and I'm going to set that touch action to the custom action of changing, and I'm going to change it from advanced editor to force weather update. So if I don't think my weather's been updated, I can make that change as well. So that way I can force an update, but it'll automatically refresh every hour. So you can actually adjust that in your settings. So if you go into settings and general settings and network refresh, you can set it to 2 hours, hour, 30 minutes, 4 hours, 8 hours, whatever you want. So you have those different options, but that is basically the bulk of creating your own weather widget. So if you have any questions, comments, feedback, want me to do anything differently, then definitely leave a comment on the video to show if you want a very particular setup. You can also definitely slow down this video if you want to see some of these steps in slow motion, but essentially this is just a series of stack groups embedded in each other in order to get some of these set up. So and then it's also showing off some of the various width elements, so you can see like in the text fields, you can have a fixed width and setting the width to fit the box, and forecast groups to, or sorry, the stack groups for the forecast, so that you can create day-by-day weather forecasts. So one of the simpler things to do with Custom Live Wallpaper Maker to make it seem like you have a very complex widget. So that is all for this particular tutorial. So if you have any questions, comments, feedback, like I said, if you want me to redo something or show you something in a particular way for this, definitely leave a comment in the notes on this video, which is up on the YouTube channel at youtube.com/PatelN01. And of course, you can slow it down if you want to see something repeated, just to see how I did it, so you can follow along on your own as well. But that's all there is for this particular review. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time.